Okay, hi everyone joining the live stream. We are starting our season of design reviews for version 13.1. And we are starting today with sound and vision. So give me some sketch of what we're going to be seeing here. We've got video, image, import, export. Okay, all right. All right, so this is under the hood stuff. Support the new version of FFmpeg.
Yes.
Okay. GUI updates for video, your own resource object. So do we have video capture yet? Yes, we do. Okay, so then I can presumably say here, if I wanted to, I could say I could start saying video capture and splatteroo.
I saw that yesterday, but I think it's working. If you open the opener, you should see a thumbnail of what is being captured.
Wow.
There it is. And I think even if you start recording, everything should work. It's just some prototype bugs.
Okay.
That we're seeing here.
Cool. All right. So I recorded that. So now what do I do? Oh, there we go. Okay. Well, that's really cool. Okay, so then fine. So now let's take that video. What can I do with that video? So if I take that video and if I, wait a minute, it just beeps when I try and copy from it. So it looks like an image, but it is, there's a frame there basically.
There's that frame. If you want to copy the frame or copy the whole video.
No, I want to copy an image. I want to copy this frame from the video.
If you right click, copy image is the first one.
Cool. Okay. So I see. So this video, so for example, I could take this video and I could say on line 1, I could just say video time series.
Video map time series.
What's video time series?
That one was obsoleted at the time of 12.
Okay. So how do I get the average color?
Mean.
By the way, that I don't know whether you guys know this, but that debugging technology using video that I kind of push people to do you know how beautifully that works? Have you seen the results from that? Or you know nothing about this?
I don't.
This is really very interesting. This is a Wolfram Alpha debugging thing where we just look at we capture the website and we look at the mean color, and then every transition on the website shows up as a change in the mean color. And we then do peak fitting to find those moments of change. And then we use that to compute the response times. And it works beautifully.
Okay.
Okay.
It's a great application. Really, really.
That should have been, that by the way, should have been mean of slot image, because video map time series takes an association, as you see there, time audio image.
Okay. Okay. Do we yet have this as timeless plot? I mean, okay, so that's not very exciting because I wasn't. I mean, that's we can't tell very much from that. Although I do have to try something. I'm just going to try one thing. I'm sorry, just because I'm playing here and I want to understand this. I really like video capture. That's really nice that just works. That's great. And is it fairly robust? I mean, other than whatever bug it is right now?
I would say so. This is blocking. We should look at the design of video capture. There is a non-blocking version of that we have also implemented. the design is not our usual design, but we do have it in file name setter.
I have this stupid brace thing on my finger because of my stupid repetitive motion injury from using my mouse in a stupid way. Okay, let's see whether we can line 5. I am curious whether I can see me kind of waving at things.
Not sure how much it's affecting the mean color though. Let's look at it.
Yep, there it is. Isn't that cool?
Sure.
I mean, this was really useful for debugging, for this, website debugging type thing.
So there's no other way to instrument it?
No, all the other instrumentation gave the wrong answer. All the instrumentation that's done from server side, the JavaScript, it all gives the wrong answer. But, I kept on saying, this thing is slow. I can get out my stopwatch and I can see it's slow.
Mm.
So let's just capture the video. And then we see, in that video, just like in this case here, you see, much of it, there's not much change, and then something happens, and you can detect the something happening, and you can measure those times. And it's very precise. I mean, it's okay. Let's look at the can we look at this what am I trying to say? Can we, by the way, this, I would recommend this as an example, something like this. I mean, not this particular one, but I think this is a nice example of video capture, and even video capture from the screen, of maybe visiting a website would be a nice example.
Sure. Okay.
Okay. So let's see, I skipped ahead to video capture, but let's take a look at this. Video.
Those subsections there you should open too. Those are kind of nice future, failure cases. That's what I'm saying.
Has that been designed, or is that just
Yep, that has been designed.
Is that really what we want for a file?
That is slightly outdated, but the icon is the same.
Can we please check with design about that? This doesn't strike me as, because we've got a lot of standardization of file icons for the cloud.
We can contact Billy again, but yeah.
Okay, but ask him if it's consistent with the icons for the cloud.
Okay.
Here I think there should be less space between those two lines, but that's make sure the file path, make sure the file path is typed correctly.
Okay.
That's for a new file, I would think. No, this doesn't make sense. File not found. That's not the right instruction, right? I mean, it's like either the file path is typed incorrectly, in which case you need to retype it, or you can browse to find a new file. Those are two different actions. I don't understand why they're connected like that.
They can both fix that kind of appearance, right? You can either have a
understand
that has a completely different file.
Could you please find out whether we've had similar messages in the cloud?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure we have.
Yep.
That's the minimized version of this, right?
Correct.
How come there's any little critter behind the picture here? Why is this not just why isn't this just blank behind here?
We're caching that one frame. We're saving that one frame in the notebook.
So this is a video that was at some point valid. At that point, that frame was extracted. Then that just remains there.
Okay, so that is analogous to the thing about wherever it was, file not stored in notebook, right? This is the error case of file not stored in notebook.
And you don't have it locally, because I
understand.
Exactly.
But there's another version of that. I don't think this is right. Okay, so there's another version of that. When you have a data set and it is, not stored locally, you come back again and what am I trying to say? You come back again, and the data isn't there. We give some other indication. Okay, we give another error condition for the data set. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
My question is that a recoverable issue? Like,
No,
if you
it's
click
not
stuff, can you
recoverable.
fix it? Because this is recoverable.
Well, it may be recoverable if you have a file path.
Yeah.
Okay, so can we? Okay, maybe we need Billy here, or I don't know, but we need somebody who knows about the data set failure case. Okay, because that needs to be aligned with this. I don't object. The functionality is great. I'm just saying let's get the iconography consistent.
I'll see if I can get Billy in.
Okay. Okay.
And the other failure case is similar below there.
That's just to minimize.
No, below.
Oh, I see.
Open.
I don't understand this. Download file to enable GUI. In other words, resource not found. These are fairly confusing. I want to know what we've done in other cases, and then we'll loop back to this, okay?
Okay.
Okay.
Because I think we've got wording that's almost identical for these other cases, so let's try and make it consistent.
That sounds good. But the idea here in all of these cases is that the GUI is partially broken, but you can click your way around to fix it. That is,
I understand.
Iconography can, yeah, we can look at making the iconography better.
Yeah, but I like the concept. The concept seems just fine.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Is there new stuff here?
This was something that you actually asked for, which makes sense, which means that the GUI remembers what play position you were at.
Right. So playback settings is now a should I look here at playback settings?
Yes, that's an actual option for video.
Does it have a name that's consistent with other names and things? Playback settings. What is the units of playback position?
Seconds.
You need to say that here.
Yep.
Can you get frames by using units?
We should,
not
if
sure
you're
in this
not.
context, but that seems like an easy thing to add.
Yeah.
Okay. So when I bring back a video, and let me understand the relationship of this to animations. If I have a notebook and I'm running an animation, not with video, but just an ordinary animated animation, and what am I trying to say? And I close the notebook, I reopen. Does the animation come back in the same place, or does it reset? Can we make sure we know the answer to that and try and get some consistency there?
I believe if it's paused, you'll get it back at that pause location. That's
Okay.
what we do a lot in our documentation examples. But
Okay,
if it's
fine.
not paused, it's probably starting from the beginning.
But you're doing the same thing here with video, pausing, right?
Yes.
Okay, fine. Video transparency. What's that about?
An option that says whether the created video file should have transparent frames or not.
I see. By transparent, you mean if there's a picture of a dancing turtle in the middle, but it's otherwise transparent, the dancing turtle could be superimposed on another dancing elephant or something.
Exactly.
Okay. But normally, is there an alpha channel normally in videos?
No, it's very rare. And that's why with our processing, we thought it would be really handy to have transparent videos generated as a middle stage. But for the final production, it's very rare to have transparent videos.
So I don't understand, what does video transparency do?
So for instance, remember the example we had with the rotating logo,
Yes.
Wolfram logo on the side? when we want to call image rotate on that logo while creating it, it would be nice. It would be necessary to say that we would like to keep that generated rotating logo video as a transparent video so that we can superimpose it on another video.
Now, how do you make a video? I don't understand. If I take a video like the fish, for example, here, I mean, that video has values of pixels everywhere. How do I, quotes, make it transparent?
Say if it had a constant background around it, remove background could have been used. Video frame map, remove background could have been used to remove the consistent background.
Okay, let me do an example here. Let me just see if I can do an example. Okay, so I've got a fish video here, and now how do I get the color? Let me do this for sort of in a coherent way. Okay, and let me just see whether I can make this workflow work. Okay, so first of all, I want to grab that fish. So I want to say copy image. I want to get that. I want to measure the value in there. How do I measure a value? Is it this one here?
Yes.
Okay, so I go there. Quite why it says lowercase r, lowercase g, lowercase b, I have no idea.
If you click there, there should be a copy color value or something. There is a copy button.
Where?
Bottom left, bottom right.
Yeah. Copy.
Color values.
Okay. Oh, for goodness sake. What the hell are those?
I know. This should be scaled. This is divided by 255. That's going to be our RGB.
Horrifying. For goodness sake, let's get this right. Okay.
Nope.
I'm also skeptical about what happens when I was displaying those things and had that lowercase RGB. I mean, it would be nice to get that right. Okay. So anyway, I can get an RGB color of this thing. Okay, there we go. There's a teal fish. Mm-hmm. Okay, now what I want to do is I want to get colors near that color. I want to make those, I just want to learn how to do this. I want to transparify the head of the fish. How do I do that?
Color detect that image, comma, outline. Really?
We had color replace, right?
Yeah, why not color
red
replace?
shoe?
Image recolor.
Yeah, that's the one.
The red shoe.
Yeah.
Image recolor this, and then I want colors colors near that thing, comma, how much? 0.1? Arrow.
Transparent.
Okay, so it went quite transparent there. Okay, so now I want to do that for this video here. Just trying to understand how to do all these things. So I want to say video, I want to go video to video. So I want to say video frame map. Is that correct?
Yep.
Of this thing. That thing, and I want to make that into hash image.
I think in this case it's just hash.
Hash. Because this
video.
Function,
yeah, go ahead.
Okay, it's quite zippy actually. Okay, there we go. All right, so now we've got a transparent fish.
So I don't think this is a transparent fish because we didn't specify the video transparency option. This is where the transparent color has been replaced by white. So this is where you want to specify video transparency goes to true, I think.
In what? In the video frame map?
In the video frame map, yes. The function that generates the video.
Okay, video transparency goes to true. Is that okay?
That should be okay. And it takes longer time because the encoding is different.
Okay. Okay, fine. All right, now I want to superimpose that on a video of something else. How do I superimpose that on top of a video of I don't know what? Let's flip this video around. Let's say image reflect or something. Okay, just for fun. So if I say video frame map of that image and I want to say image reflect here.
That should be all that you need.
And forget the transparency because I don't care about transparency.
In this case, it shouldn't make any difference given that there is no
Great, I'm image reflected. Now I want to superimpose this image on this one. How do I do that?
You should be able to do video overlay, and then let me see.
Overlay video.
Oh, yes.
Okay. And then I say %12, %13.
I think first one is the background, I think.
I think so.
So the other way around. Yep.
I see background, comma, whatever. Okay. 13, 12.
Kind of difficult to see, I guess.
It's kind of difficult to see, isn't it?
But you do see the orange fin, right?
Yes, you do. All right. Very cool. And quite zippy too. Well done. Okay, let's go on with the review. This is good. Video transparency. Is that the right name for this?
At some point, we called this encode transparency to say whether in the final resulting file we would like the transparency to be encoded or not.
Yeah, that's confusing.
Yeah. That's what Roger
What
thought.
about use video transparency or something, or include? Really what it is it's include transparency or not. And why is it the case that in this case here, they don't get some kind of message saying your transparency will be ignored?
We weren't sure if that's necessary.
Well, I mean, if I give explicit transparency, you just throw it away. Shouldn't you tell me?
Actually, I'm not sure. Does that happen if you don't specify the video transparency option? Yes, no. That's what we just yeah, sorry.
Yeah,
no
message. We just discussed that.
Right. In this case here, well, in that case there, we've got it, but in this case here, we don't have it. It's just ignoring the transparent there. So I think it should generate a message in that case.
Okay.
And then yeah, I mean, video transparency, I guess it's okay. Yeah, I guess that's okay. All right, video encoding. Enable specifications of, but we had video encoding before, didn't we?
Yes. We're just allowing for some presets like what's the encoding speed and for what are we fine-tuning, like is it still image, film, and so forth. So sometimes the encoding speed goes faster with those settings, and sometimes we get a smaller file if we can optimize for those presets, like it's all the still image or decode fast.
Oh, so these are named presets.
Correct.
Some available tunes are? Did you mean
tunings?
So there are two keys to the association of video encoding, and encoding speed and tune.
Tune
Those are
is
called
ridiculous.
Tunings.
No,
yeah,
it got to be called tuning. It cannot be called tune. Yeah. Otherwise, we're humming along.
Right.
Tuning. Yeah. I agree.
Is that what they're called in the industry?
Yeah.
Yeah, you tune it for something.
Well, I mean, usually we have a performance goal. That's our usual name for a thing like this.
Kind of, yes. But these are, I mean, this is richer. This is a richer space, right? This is a still image.
Yep.
And it is very much encoder dependent. These are not available for everything. That's just some where this has been developed.
The list is in front of you in the excluded cell, the last cell in the notes.
Yeah, I understand. Okay. To me, I mean, if you're going to use following sub options. So how do you give the sub options? It's the encoder name in the list and then the, encoding speed arrow blah. Is that
Yep.
correct?
Yep. I should have an example.
Okay. I think this should be called encoding optimization or encoding tuning. Otherwise, you've got to call this one speed. See what I'm saying?
Sure. And encoding tune or encoding tuning?
I mean, maybe it's a goal, really, encoding goal. This is what
Yeah.
What we optimize for, basically.
And the user is indeed specifying a video encoding option. So maybe this speed is better than encoding speed. So maybe the encoding part can be dropped altogether in the sub options.
Well, then.
Carlo, aren't we using video encoding as an option for import as well? To
Yes.
specify
I think we should leave
the
the encoding
decoder?
I think we should say encoding speed arrow, and then we should say encoding goal arrow. And then here we should say, optimization optimized for animations of cartoons and so on, optimized for whatever. Don't call it zero latency if it's really low latency. I mean, it's not going to achieve zero latency unless, I suppose its goal could be zero latency, but it'll never achieve it.
I think we try to stay as close as possible to what those tunes are called. If it's called zero latency.
Maybe this is the same as zero gravity is really microgravity.
Well, yeah, right. Or 5G is, whatever it is.
Right.
I'll look into it. If it's not explicitly called that, I agree. Low latency would be better. But if it's explicitly called zero latency.
Yeah, and also fast decoding. I mean, all of these, if these are industry standard names, look, if these are industry standard names and they're called tunings, then we should call this encoding tuning.
Okay.
But if they're not industry standard names, I think we should call it encoding goal and then name these appropriately.
We were looking at FFmpeg for most part. I'll look elsewhere as well to see what it's called in the industry.
Okay, optional third element for presets.
So basically accessing that or returning those available presets in $video encoders.
Wow. I mean, I don't understand how you could do that, given that one of them is a speed thing. Wote on our live stream says zero latency is the industry standard name.
Like zero gravity.
Right. Okay, over here. So wait a minute. So you've got in some of these, you've got, oh, there we go. So I don't understand this. This is a discovery interface, but how the heck do I use it? Because what you've given me here is, I mean, this is a very weird discovery interface, if I might say so. Because I can't actually pick this up and use it. I've got the set of all possible. See what I'm saying? I thought what you were going to give me was libx 264, encoding tuning arrow still image. libx 264 encoding whatever.
Something like the outer product of those possible things. But then encoding speed is really.
Oh, it's crazy. It's crazy because it's a real number. Right? So that's not going to work. When have we ever had a thing like this? I mean, we're this is a discovery thing. I don't know. I don't think
voice style data is the closest thing that comes to mind. Something like that.
Voice styles, but we've also got voice style data.
Voice style data, yes.
I was playing with this. Oh, You know, I keep on telling you, I think a much better way to do this, rather than having all these weird little functions, is just document an entry in the function repository and let people pull things out of that when they need to. I'm not buying. Yeah, go ahead. I'm not buying this. I'm sorry. I think this is so unusable because somebody could map over a bunch of encoders, or you know, I don't know what people are going to want to do. I mean, they might want to map over encoders and see what the smallest file is or something like this. How are people going to use this? But whatever they're going to do, this is not computer usable.
I was thinking, is there anything we could do in the style of Wolfram language data? Because this is kind of a similar discovery.
It is. Yes, it is. It's a good question. Honestly, I think this is not worth putting in. I think it's more confusing than anything. I mean, this stuff here is, that's its human name. Is that correct?
Yeah, that is kind of the description that we gathered from a FempEg, yes.
God, this is a mess. I mean, I don't know how you use this stuff. I mean, okay, for something.
I mean, in a way, this is a little bit like dollar import formats or dollar export formats or something. But
yes, that is exactly the same thing.
Yeah, except that this has more metadata.
Yes. I mean
that third
it's
element
richer. It's sort of a little bit richer description.
Okay, but you just broke anybody who had code that used this, right? By now adding that third element there, you just broke their code.
I don't think so. So we thought about that if we broke their code. The reason why I say I don't think so is that the part that people were using previously was just the first element of all these lists per each codec, which gives you the computable element that you can use as value.
How are people using this?
That is a good question. I don't have a truthful answer here. How I use it is I usually grab the format that I'm interested in and just look at the all, one part of the result. So I just get that first bit. Now that we have the encoding speeds, I might look at that third one as well.
What do you use it for in general? I mean, it's like, I've got a video, I'm going to put it out there. I'm going to use, V408 format or something.
Yeah, so I come with ideas on what I already want to know, and I want to know how that is called in the Wolfram language, so I can express it as an option.
Okay, but hold on. Why do you want to know this? Because you've got some particular kind of device that wants V408 format? Or
yeah, or I'm uploading to a specific service that requires a specific codec, or I know.
Okay, but have we curated? Okay, so you're uploading to YouTube, let's say.
Yeah.
What codec does it require?
So for stuff like that, we do have shortcuts. For example, video transcode has a YouTube target that does things smartly.
Okay, but I want to know realistically how people are going to use this list. So one thing is you're uploading to a service, and it seems to me, I mean, I don't know whether we have a service connect that directly does that. If we don't, we should have.
I think what we want to do is the publish command is what the end user. There could be a service connect as well, but that's that's not for users. That's for developers type thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I agree. But it's going to need authentication and things like that. Which
absolutely, that's what part of what publish needs to do.
Right.
But I agree with you. This is not a great as a discovery interface.
I mean, I would prefer to see a data set in the data repository with more human readable things, and maybe it could have all kinds of stuff in it.
But then you realize at this point this is also platform specific. These are the encoders that
dependent.
And version dependent.
It needs to be computed on the user's machine, unfortunately.
I see. Edmund on our live stream is pointing out, surely this needs a data set with named entities. That's a good point too. I mean, this is very primitive in many ways. I mean, in like these formats could be entities, for example, in which case they can have properties.
Yes, for sure. The one thing I will point out is that hopefully most of the users.
Well,
will
how do you
never
discover
care about-
entities? There's no discovery interface for entities.
Yes, there is. But what would you like to know about entity?
What is it?
Well, what aspect of it do you want to know? Do you want to know the list of all entities of a given type?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, like, how do you discover the list of possible entities?
Okay. Entity list of element, for example. There they are. I mean, if I do that for cities, it'll be pretty long.
Oh.
I mean, right, and so each one of these, I can say, entity properties of that thing, and there are the properties, right? So if we had that, I mean, I'm not necessarily saying we want to go that heavyweight, but if we had that for video encoders, that would be a mechanism that, you know, already exists.
So the last thing I want to point out is that most users hopefully will not care about this because we provide decent default choices.
I understand. Yeah, I understand.
I
understand.
completely
This is
agree
very
that I
low
don't
level
think
stuff.
it's worth the effort. If you think the addition of the third argument is making this not useful or usable, I would be happy to remove that from that third part and just document them.
That's what I think we should do for now. I think we're going to have a different solution that either involves entities or a data set that is the right way to do the full discovery interface.
Okay.
By the way, Wout says, look inside any of RME's manuals, whatever they are, for information about these names.
RME.
Current and former RME products. Okay, don't know what these are. Okay. Huh. Okay. I was just saying, but for entity lists of the codecs, how do you store permutations like versions? I see. Yeah.
Again,
if you have an entity list of codecs, how do you put the qualification? Well, we've got entity instance. You know, like we can say 1 gram of neodymium. We could say version such and such. This is complicated, and I think, you know, there's a good question here, which is I mean, right now, for like our import-export formats, versioning is not a huge issue. Those things don't rev that quickly. Do they rev quickly in the case of video codecs?
Well, for example, so they are, first of all, they are very platform dependent and what kind of installation of FFmpeg you have or we provide. But for example, there are several codecs that are introducing this switch to version 5, as mentioned at the beginning of the notes.
But the old codecs, they don't change. New ones may get added.
Yes,
Support for old ones may get dropped. But with a single specific one, it stays steady.
So what is the negotiation? I mean, does the codec that I can use on my machine depend on my video card and things?
It does. For example, if you had a Windows machine with an NVIDIA card, you might get some NVIDIA hardware accelerated codecs. On Mac, you might have some Video Toolbox accelerated codecs. Okay. And it all depends on also if you're using the installation of FFmpeg that we provide within our layout, which is more limited for licensing issues, or if you installed your own on your machine.
Okay, but how is the negotiation done? So I've got I've got some random video and it's in with some particular codec. And well, then I'm going to upload it to, well, no, let's take YouTube, for example. It probably stores videos in multiple codecs. Is that true?
I think so. Or at least.
Yeah, that I know it does. I know it does. And then how does it do the negotiation with the machine to know which version to download?
I assume that is done through information exchange with the browser, but I don't know the specifics.
But isn't that an issue for us? Like, you point at a video file. Well,
yes, for that, we just rely to FFmpeg's default choices. It detects which codec it is encoded in, and then it has some default choices of what.
So when I pointed an
encoder.
MP4 file, could that MP4 file contain multiple versions of the video with different codecs, or is that not the case?
If the video contains multiple tracks, yes, but if it just be when you play track 1, we'll use one codec, and when you will play track 2, we will use the appropriate codec as well. But it's not. It has different copies of the same file, just with different codecs. It usually is unique.
Okay. All right.
And I'm not sure if YouTube. Are you really sure YouTube is storing different codecs? I think it's once it can probably take as input videos of different codecs, but I think at the end it's storing it as H.264.
It for sure stores it at different resolutions, though.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that is what the negotiation usually happens, I assume, depending on.
Actually, I actually happen to know more. Yes, I did once get an explanation of how this works, and I mean it's basically watching how fast the player is managing to consume stuff and so on, and it is yeah. All right, let's keep going here. Tour video. All right, so if I want.
There is another version of this. If you click on that tour video new.
Okay. Okay. I see. So this is allowing it to zoom to have a particular rectangle. By the way, is it always the case that every video display is rectangular?
Yes, as far as I know.
I haven't seen anything that is not.
I mean, you can certainly get displays that are not rectangular. I mean, I remember, I don't know what's happened to that company. There was a company making a digital pocket watch, which was a circular display.
Mm-hmm.
I think.
I don't think it can be stored in any of with any of the
formats
that we see.
Right.
No, I think they were just chopping off the edges of a rectangular display. Okay. All right, fine. So then.
There are no examples of it. Right,
Okay.
no examples of it, but I think examples like find faces of people or anything similar to that would just be made a lot easier. Go from one elephant to another, because those are all coming back as rectangles.
I see. And we're going to interpolate correctly.
Correct.
Okay. Video record.
That is, in fact, still, Carlo, are we getting this release? There are problems with recording.
There are issues there. There is nothing new in the function itself. The function is exactly as it was in the previous versions. We just have backend issues on Linux and Windows that we are hoping to get wrapped up for 13.1.
Okay, hold on. I didn't even know this existed. So this is the analog of current screen image, right?
This returns a handle to the recording process.
Like audio record.
Okay, so I would like to say, if I do current screen image, for example, okay? Let's go over here. And I say current screen image. Okay. So it's captured a bunch of screens, but probably
I think if you say one or two, whichever is your screen of interest.
Okay, there we go. So it would be nice if we could do current screen video.
That's video capture.
I know, but how do you give it I mean,
It has an imaging device option,
uh,
which is slightly. We debated this. We're not thrilled about the name.
There is more about video capture if you
Yeah.
just want to open that page. See that non-blocking as well.
okay.
Video capture, not video screen capture. However, I don't mind splitting that into video capture from
That'd be fine.
webcams and video screen capture.
Yeah, it seems a sensible thing to do to me. I think video
Actually-
screen capture.
Actually, that was, Shadi, that was what we originally
Had
planned.
initially.
Yeah.
Okay, so
There is a little bit of awkwardness with that dynamical variable that you should know of as a way of getting a non-blocking capture interface.
how do you get a
And-
non-blocking? Okay, audio capture. How do you get a non-blocking interface?
You don't.
That we don't, but we were thinking if this design gets approved, then we could make that change in audio capture as well.
What does it do with the dynamic variable there?
It behaves essentially like file name setter of dynamic of variable. Once the recording is finished, the value is assigned, the video is assigned to var. It behaves like a control.
Yeah, I understand. This idea of
imagine-
having a dynamic and a non-dynamic version bothers me. I think you should talk to the front-end team about doing that.
Yeah, we've been talking with Lou mainly. Well, I've been talking with Lou mainly.
What does Lou have to say about this?
He doesn't have any immediate objection. He was worried about some implementation details, but he was.
Why don't you just check once with John?
Okay. Yeah, I mentioned to him, but I never got a review of the idea.
Okay. All
Well,
right. So, go ahead. Okay, I recommend, given, look, when I did that video capture just now, it just worked. I mean, I had multiple webcams and things like that, but it managed to pick up the primary and it just worked. So I'm a happy camper there. But on the other hand, if I'm futzing around with a screen and I'm resetting the imaging device, I don't even know what the imaging device is for my screen. What is it?
So, by the way, there is the menu
Yeah, I know.
button that you could, if you don't want to specify an option textually, you can poke through the
Look, for example, when I use Zoom and I have a video input, I don't believe one of those video inputs can be my screen. You understand what I'm saying? People
No, I agree that the name is not ideal.
Right. People are not used to that.
And I am not against splitting this into capture and screen capture.
Okay. Now, I mean, I think it would also be interesting and very relevant for our course tools, for example, if you could screen capture a particular rectangle on the screen. Can you do that?
Yes, that is one of the, this is something that we have trouble on Linux and Windows, and we are hoping to fix for this version. But yes, both a rectangle or a notebook object is something that we would like to
see the second table there, Stephen.
Yeah, I see it.
You
That
have-
notebook object is beautiful if we can do that.
Yep.
On Mac,
However,
that
if
is
you
not an issue.
resize,
Yeah.
you resize the notebook, you're still stuck to the initial size of the notebook. But apart from that, which should be expected because frames needs to have same size. But apart from that, everything works fine.
That live stream is interesting too, because that's also not something one would necessarily expect.
So that is something that we need to make sure is a bit more robust. Needs to be tested a bit more.
Okay.
I thought we removed it from one of the docs, but
we
yes.
removed it from video record, I think.
Okay.
But not from video capture.
What's the difference between video record and video capture? Video record has external.
It's just a lower level.
Video record is basically
recording.
programmatic.
Yeah, okay, fine.
And we
The
have an
start-
audio
start is
record
programmatic.
similarly, so you can programmatically start,
Yeah, I
stop it,
remember
and all that.
Right. Okay, so this, So current screen video would be the analog of current screen image.
Do we
I'm not
want to
sure.
call it that or video
not sure
screen
we do.
capture?
Video screen capture seems better to me.
I agree.
Okay. Framelist video.
This
Should
was
work.
requested
List of files.
multiple times.
This is, yeah, many people here on the calls and the design, you have like a whole directory full of files.
Yes. And you
No.
want to just video.
Yeah, you want to, snarf them all in basically.
So you do a file, you do file names of that file, of that directory. You hope that there's an ordering criterion, and then
Yeah.
you make a frameless video from.
Yes.
Yeah, yes.
Okay, sounds good to me. Okay, video support and image functions. Remove alpha channel, now supports video. Okay, cool. Cool. Video intervals. Scene detection. Oh.
So that is a bit of an, we've just had discussions the last few days, and the updates are in a tentative function called video scene detect. But it is a recent development.
Of
Like-
what? Wait a minute. Video intervals.
Right. Open video scene detect instead.
It's so recent, Stephen, that it came in a few hours ago.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Just say.
Yeah, I get it.
Scene.
Oh, video scene detect.
So you were 10 minutes late and we showed it to Roger just then.
Okay, fine.
So just, well, maybe I should let you comment first.
Well, but what is a scene boundary? How you mean that's a timestamp?
Okay, so you're asking exactly what I'm asking. What's the definition of a scene? And I think that we should have different objectives or goals of what kinds of scenes we want to detect. And they're now listed as methods down there. But I think that that's basically like a second argument. That's like what.
Well, so this exactly would relate to this testing application that we have. In other words,
yeah.
could we just use that for, when does the web page load type thing? And I'm not completely certain that it wants to be video scene detect as opposed to video change detect.
So event. So in your case, you have events.
Yeah.
Right. I
or
really think at
intervals.
some point we need to add a video position or something like that. In addition to video intervals, something that says when things happen.
Mm-hmm.
What you mean? What's
When-
it going to return though? Is it? I mean, one possibility, like geoposition, we have something that represents a point in a video, just like we have a point on the Earth.
Mm-hmm.
I think what Shadi means though is like video intervals returns a list of start and end for each scene or thing, something that returns a single time. Like there is an event at this time, not an event within these two times. Was that what?
No, I
Yes.
understand, but I'm making a different suggestion, which is a symbolic wrapper called video position, analogous to geoposition. Which
What would we?
give.
What is that? What is a
Which-
video position?
Which
video-
you're thinking is going to have a time and maybe a special XY position?
No, I'm thinking just a time and the video
it.
that it refers to. Just like
Oh, and the
geoposition.
video.
Yes, right. So it refers to, so you can do things like you can say, the difference between two video positions is a time. I mean, or this may be a bad idea. This may be a bad idea. I mean, I was thinking it's like geoposition on the Earth versus geoposition on the Moon, which we can do. It's a bad idea, I think. Yeah. Okay. So you're proposing a video position that simply returns the moment in the timestamp at which, in seconds presumably, at which such and such a thing happens in a video.
Yes.
Okay. But the question is what the thing is.
Well, I think it could be as generic as when does Steven show up in the video, or when does Steven start to speak in a video. So could be based on any of the audio or video tracks any custom criteria or something like what are the positions, starting positions of constant frames, when are the positions of slide change if you're going through a slideshow. So there could be a list of presets as well as custom functions we can define.
Right. Well, I mean, okay, this looks like it's somewhat uncooked at this point, but
Yeah.
Scene detection, yeah, all of these are uncooked, but scene detection, I think with the method level that we are looking at now, might be reasonable. Now, I understand what Roger is saying might be more appealing as far as goals for splitting the scene. I still think the second argument could remain to be the number of scenes we think we would like to split the video to, but maybe that property could be removed for the time being.
well, okay, but
And
what does it return? Does it return a list of timestamps, or does it return a video that's been split?
list of timestamps. See that second note, T11, T12, and onward.
It returns
Okay.
a list of intervals, basically.
But you know, let
Yep.
me comment on this. It's like graph connected components or connected graph components.
Mhm.
Okay, we've got connected components, and then we ended up needing connected graph components because we wanted to actually get the pieces of the graph that were disconnected, as opposed to just get the numbers of which nodes were in each connected component.
So that is the idea of the third argument, where you can select what you want your output to be, or what property for each of the detected scenes you want to output.
Yeah, I understand. I
Right.
think that's a little bit obscure because I think that
yes.
I think the use case here, look, I think there are a couple of obvious use cases. One is this essentially position detection, which is not really a scene detect, that's more like video position. And the other is split my video, I think, into multiple scenes. Maybe I'm wrong about that. But that seems useful.
I think if you scroll slightly down, I committed it just before the meeting, so you don't have it. But I was thinking video split as well as some other functions could have scene aware functionality like split based on or extract frames, sample frames based on scenes or something like that.
Right. I think this needs
Framelist.
more cooking. I don't think it's worth us going more into this right now, unless you
Okay.
unless more input. I mean, I think it's obviously a good thing in general, but it obviously needs some development.
Okay.
Okay. Wout on our live stream is commenting that people usually use OBS virtual cameras as a webcam source for Zoom, etc. You can use OBS for sure. I mean, is that how? I mean, OBS is a specific application, isn't it? I'm confused.
What is OBS?
It's a thing that one uses for fancier streaming stuff. I mean, I've many kind of things I've done that involve broadcast media and so on. They, want me to connect to OBS. I'm sure I have it on my machine. In fact, let me not start it because it will probably produce some horrifying result here. I'll probably get totally confused.
I would assume that would show up in our possible list of imaging devices. If not, that would be an interesting thing to potentially add if there is a use case.
Well, yeah, I mean, there is definitely. I mean, people ask for this. If you ask Danielle or our video team, people, that many different times I've had to use it for one thing or another.
I think there are good chances that this will all magically work, but I am not sure. We have not tried that. So.
Okay. All right, onward we go here. Convert an image object to a graphics and set options. Good. I mean, so if I take, for example, a random fishy thing, an image object, well, there's an image object. Okay, and so I now say graphics of that. Somebody, by the way, is heavy breathing in there. Okay, so then now, whereas that Why is it, by the way, that the color of the border is exactly the same between graphics and images when we have a different color for example, graph?
Goes back to version 7. That's the same box. All over. I guess we could change that.
We should consider changing it, I think. I think it's
Okay.
very useful to see that you've got an image versus you've got a graphics.
Okay.
Maybe not change it too much, but change it so that at least if you know what you're looking for, you can see the difference.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what is this graphic? Is it an image? What is it? Is it a raster inside?
This one is graphics over raster, yes.
Okay, so it always converts it.
Mm-hmm. And now you can say frame goes to true, axes label, whatever. In that graphics call, you can add all graphics options now.
I see. That's nice. So if I say frame ticks, help. Why didn't that work?
I don't know. I'll look into that.
What coordinate system does it think it has?
0 width, 0 height.
Okay, well, something's wrong then here.
I'll look into that.
I mean, if we can say,
Absolute options.
Okay. Okay. Okay, good. All right, let me go back to this. Image stitch. How are we doing on spherical image?
That one we didn't proceed much. We discussed with Marcus and Jose a couple of times, but adding the spherical image as a complete new object was just too big for this release. One thing we're adding now in image stitch, and this is another one Roger hasn't seen. If you open the page, is projection space being a cylinder or a plane.
What does that mean? What is it doing normally with image stitch? What
This
does
is
it
also
usually?
outdated.
Okay, all right. So I don't know what I'm getting, but explain to me what that roughly means. So usually,
image stitch always returns an image, a rectangular 2D image, nothing beyond that.
Yes.
Just that we are thinking we would like to be able to tell image stitch whether it should assume the space that was acquired should be seen as a sphere, as a cylinder, or as a plane. I think sphere could be another mode. We were thinking with Marcus that Marcus was suggesting maybe not. Sphere is just basically
details. We had this discussion prior to 13.0, and we thought it was a good thing. It was just not it was not ready, you know.
Right.
So.
And again, just this release was a little too short to go into all of that details.
Okay. But I mean, like a cylindrical thing, when you capture from a camera, the camera is a point capturing device. What does it mean that is capturing the stuff for a cylinder? Or does it go up and down? Are you imagining the camera goes up and down and captures at different heights?
Right. So at that point, I think it's more of a spherical space that we're looking at, and projecting on a sphere probably makes a better. The thing is that we would like to optimize so that the smallest amount of skewedness is coming back into those images. Yep. If the space was cylindrical, we projected on a plane, all of the corners are just going to go off.
Right. Okay, let's move on here, unless you want to talk more about image stitch.
No, that's fine.
It's displacements. What is image?
So one thing,
this
is motion from one frame to another. Image displacements is a dense displacement computation. Image feature track is a sparse. To both of them, we are adding animated image support. And for image displacements, we have
you can feed it in an animated image as an input.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. What's the relationship between video and animated image?
Animated image currently is in core all the time, and it's just displaying as an animated image, smaller decoration around it. It actually looks very similar to our minimal video.
But so if I want to do video operations on an animated image, how do I do that? Do I say video of animated image and then I go to town with video?
Yes.
Okay. And does it tell me if I try and apply a video operation to animated image, does it just work and do the conversion automatically, or does it complain?
I think it complains now.
Complains at the moment.
Yep.
Okay. Okay, so long as it says what to do, I think it's okay. Image dimensions. Yes, that makes a lot of sense. Okay, text recognize. I mean, how I was using text recognize for something recently, and it was not doing as well as I had hoped it would. I mean, is that in whatever the
No, it says pending. It's the new update is not in. It's still Tesseract that is the engine, and a lot of other commercial software can do better than Tesseract. At some point, we should really look into these functions and make them better.
I mean, it was doing surprisingly decently last I knew about it. Is there an issue with quality or speed or both?
Quality.
That was pretty good.
This is pretty good, yes. And I was gonna say, I recognized and translated happily some Japanese document earlier this week. That was a good positive surprise.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen it. Huh, wow. Now, if I do 5-pixel blurring, wow. Let's kill it. Oh, there it's gone. Okay. Well, I don't consider that a terrible result. I mean, let's just see whether visually we can see what's going on there or not. That will be really hard. I mean, I can read it through this, but I admit that that's hard. Okay, let's move on here. Create smaller animated GIFs.
This was a pretty big deal because we saved some giant animated GIFs in our ref pages.
I see. And I mean, this is just the GIF looks the same, but it has a smaller footprint because it's changed its color map.
Color map, as well as the other note just below, says we are adding support for removing redundant frames.
Okay. Good.
There is one thing in the front end that I need to talk to John about. Our animations cannot have different frame durations. It's always the fixed frame duration. So if we generate some PNG, for instance, that has removed redundant frames, so each frame now has different durations.
Yes.
We import it as an animated image. We don't display them correctly. We compute some average frame rate and use that throughout.
That seems wrong.
Right. I'll talk to John to see if there is any plan for supporting different frame durations.
Okay.
Most of those are consistency updates, raster size versus image size.
Are any of these incompatible changes?
No.
Okay.
Oh yes, actually, the color space one is a small inconsistent backward incompatible for different image formats. Color space used to return different results: RGB as a string, RGB color as a string, RGB color as a symbol. Now all of those are becoming consistent, but I made a note of it for backwards incompatibility change.
Okay, but wait a minute. What does the color space function do?
Color space element of image formats.
I see. Wait a minute. So I've got an image here, and then I say here color space. Is that right?
Image color space. No, no, images don't have properties. Image color space is an option.
Option?
As a function, sorry.
That's not very helpful. What does that mean?
Carlo, I think that's a bug in copy image from videos.
Is how
This should probably just create an RGB image.
I think it does.
Okay, well, let's take a look at this image object.
Is that the graphics? Is that what do you copy? Is that a graphics or an image?
Don't think so. I think it's the image there.
Yeah. I'm not sure.
Use the image in your blur command, Stephen. I'll look into this one to see if that's right. But this one you captured from your screen, so I expect this one to be an RGB image.
What the heck is that? Is that the name of a color space as a string?
Yes.
Which is what we need in the color space functions.
In color space elements of, yes, exactly, of image formats.
Okay. All right, okay. Multi-part images. How do you export to a multi-part image?
I don't think we need to. We don't yet. And I really think this is such a narrow use case that I really don't think it's worth spending more time on.
This is the thing where you have where it's capturing that little live thing and things like that. No, EXR is doing what? It's doing the multiple. What does it do?
Sometimes multiple resolutions, sometimes multiple depths. And in order to store those in an OpenEXR, sometimes those are stored as different levels, I think they're called in OpenEXR. Sometimes they are multiple parts. We haven't yet found any OpenEXR sample that has multiple parts as well as multiple levels in the same file. They are
how do we bring these back, though? We bring back as a list of images or an association?
Yes. Associations.
Okay. Okay. Anything exciting about our XLS updates?
No. Bug fixes, keeping the library up to date.
Net CDF, new import elements like structure graph, okay. Okay, 160 bioformats, bringing in generating biosequence objects or what?
No, this is importing images or image metadata through bioformats. We had developed bioformat link as a packlet, and it has been available on our GitHub for a while. Now we are registering those extensions that it can import in our system, and whenever this is a GPL, bioformat is a GPL library, so bioformat link is also a GPL packlet we have released on GitHub. Now, if somebody asks to import a format that we can identify supported by bioformat links, we put up a dialog, install bioformat link, and use it to import automatically. So that's the addition that is happening now.
Okay.
And we have some of these. There is a string called video formats. This is bio. Maybe it should be called bioimage formats or something. But
well, I mean, yes. Is there a string?
I'm saying we don't have all of these video encoders. Like you looked at, those are in principle separate formats. That's a huge list. So we have a few things are named like MP4, have their separate names. Otherwise, they are sort of video formats.
We have a registered format, Stephen, called video formats.
I see.
Which is a catch-all video formats. Now, Roger is saying this bioformats is a catch-all for bioimage formats.
I see. Well, we don't want to call it bioformats. That's completely crazy.
Yeah, I see the source of confusion. Bioformats is the name of that library that we use. The packlet is called bioformat links. I think bioimage formats make sense as a registered
What
element.
are they? I mean, what kinds of things are they?
Images that are microscopes like Leica and other ones other vendors are creating.
But do they have
IMGs, RAWs.
file extensions?
Yes, if you open the bioformats, I have listed the extensions that we registered to these bioformats. Just
The huge
open
list.
the, yeah. Yeah, I haven't organized them now. Not here, in the OTAB formats.
Oh gosh, I can't land this airplane. Where the heck is format?
2 down from your cursor.
Yeah, down. Stop. Up.
2 up.
Click.
Yep.
Get format page.
I think these should be sorted alphabetically, Stephen.
Yeah, I mean, this is. I think we've got a plan to change this anyway. Bioformats. Is that right? Bioformats.
Yes.
Oh my
So
gosh.
that's the extension list. Roger was suggesting we categorize them better, maybe in a table or something.
Wait a
so that
second. But for I see for videos, we also have a gazillion extensions. Is that true?
Yeah.
Yes.
Check open video formats.
Yeah, I believe you. So I mean, but our importer will automatically know. I'm very confused here because the import and export, if you have an ohm or whatever this is, you know, a dot, you know, STP or something, it will know. I assume these things don't collide.
Exactly. We have picked
STP that it is supposed to use this thing, but what difference does it make that there is a quotes bioformats import export type other than documentation?
because there is more than exactly as you guessed. There are more extensions that bioformats can handle, but the rest of them collide with our registered formats.
Oh.
And so if somebody wants to enforce bioformats to be used for importing them, then they can use bioformats.
Oh gosh. Okay. Well, how many collisions are there?
160 minus the list of extensions I have there.
Okay, well, we can get more information on it. I can compute that obviously, but I mean, my question, is that what we've done in other cases? I mean, is that what we do with video?
With video, I believe we didn't have collision with extensions, or maybe we had. Carlo, do you remember? We registered formats like TS and so forth.
There.
Don't count them, Stephen. I'm getting the count.
I'm going to count them. I'm just going to say string count. And then I'm going to count the number of periods in here. And there are 170. So how many do you think there should be?
Oh, I thought it should be less than one. Oh, yeah, you're right.
160. We listed 160.
Minus 10 we're getting now.
Well, we can
that's
count it against other collisions in other formats.
Maybe they're.
I'm wondering if some
same.
of them, yeah, different extensions for the same format might be the.
Well,
you know, JPEG has a bunch of. Yeah. Ohm has 2 dots in them. Right.
Yeah, I see that. Oh, it has 2 dots. Yeah, that's going to mess things up here. Okay. Well, my data is off by several ohms. Okay. Anyway, I mean, it is slightly bothersome that, oh gosh, when one sees a video file, like on the web, one doesn't usually, I mean, I'm confused. I mean, I don't download video files very often from the web, but if I did, would I see FFmpeg blah 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 all the time?
No, you will mostly see the containers, which most popular ones are MP4 AVI, not so much
Okay,
anymore.
but so these don't have containers. These are just raw, an AFM is not an atomic force microscope, or maybe it is an atomic force microscope, but it's just some file, correct?
Yes.
So I'm wondering whether we, unfortunately, have to make separate documentation pages for all of these.
You had suggested that before as well. I don't necessarily object to the idea, just that it's tediously a lot of work.
Well, okay, fair enough. But I mean, PCT and PICT, I believe those are, well, PICT is certainly an old-fashioned, Mac bitmap format and things.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we can do something that's intermediary, Stephen. Like this could have a little bit more informative groupings. Like now, unless you really know what this key means, you kind of, you don't really know anything.
Yeah, but it's not clear you care. I mean, my main issue is if I've got a such and such microscope in my lab,
mm-hmm.
and there's a certain argument if it saves a file as a .lut file or something, then I just try importing the .lut file. It works, and I'm a happy person. Unless there are all kinds of weird options you need. I'm just not sure what to make of this.
I have in fact documented Nifty as one example. .nii.img as a Nifty file is something I've attempted to document. Just that again, I'm a little afraid it's going to be too much of documentation work.
Well, I mean,
thank goodness
somebody. Yeah, well, right. Yes, I understand. Well,
I mean, it's about as many formats as we have. I mean, it's doubling.
Yes.
It's almost doubling.
That's cool. Be happy. I mean,
if I was convinced,
unless these things are completely worthless. I mean, if I
was convinced this is going to bring us as many customers as the number of formats, yes.
Amira Mesh. I happen to know what Amira is. It's a spin-off from Konrad Zuse Technology in Berlin that did visualization for bio something or other.
You're right. Well, it's not the original Konrad Zuse. It's the Konrad Zuse Institute, which is different.
Yes. I mean, who remembers the original Konrad Zuse except you and me?
Yeah, right. Well, whoever remembers, it's like all these buildings at universities that are named after people.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I don't know about you, but whenever I go into these buildings, I always go and look at the painting and the plaque, and the people who work in the building look at me doing that, and they're like, "What the heck? Nobody ever does that." Nobody's, people have worked in the building for 30 years and they've never read the plaque.
Right.
Okay, so I mean, this is a perfectly real format. Oh, it's part of Thermo Fisher. Okay.
Yeah. Thermo Fisher is sort of a big acquirer.
Yeah, I know. It's like a container, like MPEG, like MP4 or something. No, I'm just joking. But seriously, look, if these are real formats, I just think we should have a stylized way of making pages for them and make a bunch of pages.
I don't disagree. I think if we can pick a handful of those that are worth splitting off, I'm happy to do that.
Well, fine, and then we can basically investigate the others and see whether. I mean, I don't know. We have to check for these name collisions, things like that. Okay, and I don't think we have a good way of handling that in the documentation. Names of pages and things. Okay, but in any case, this, bioimage formats or bioimage format or something. I don't know.
Video format, we actually call it video format, singular. So maybe this one as well should be called
bioimage format. That's what it should be.
Format.
Each one is a format.
Yes.
Positioned text. Vector graphics improvements. Okay. Set format properties.
Those actually are not going to make it.
Yeah, I was just going to ask. It was a little bit dicey last time, so.
Well, but this is
Yeah.
this is the register importers and exporters and things.
Yeah.
So you too can add a nerd.
Yes.
Importer.
Yes.
Okay. Summary element for all formats. What is that?
That is not making it either, but the idea is that some formats have the summary element, and it's really useful. At the framework level, we're going to add a summary element so that if the specific converter, like for WAV files, don't have the summary element implemented, the framework is going to return some minimal useful information about the file.
But the summary is about a file, or it's a general sort of thing about that format?
It's about the file.
Yeah. This file is this big, this resolution, this space.
So it's a text string about the file.
Yes. No,
it's a data set.
It's a data set.
Oh. So, I mean, for example, if I were to, not that I have, if I were to take, where is my example fish? If I were to take that.
Yeah, export that.
Why do I have
or,
to?
Yeah, just that, yes. Import of that, comma, summary.
That's nice. I didn't know we had these.
Yeah. They're not all everywhere, but they're in many, many places by now. It's really useful.
That is useful. It should be better documented.
I mean, it is.
I think in most formats, it's the second example on their basic examples.
I've just not seen it. Okay.
And then the last item, their options element, has been a very confused and confusing element for all formats. Sometimes it returned default settings for options available to import. Sometimes it was returning options that would show up in the returned object. And I don't know what was the purpose of that anyways. We discussed it. We thought it would be harmless to at least undocument those. We are going to keep them for backwards compatibility, but there is probably very little use or usefulness to those.
Fine. Okay. Perkinji on our live stream is commenting that EXR is useful for light field cameras. Okay. Well, I think we made it through the whole list.
Perfect. Yeah,
there's lots more to do.
Yeah, and it's a lot longer than that. So this is not even.
Yeah, right. Okay. Okay, great. Well, very nice. What's our next design review?
I think we have one tomorrow. Which one was tomorrow? It was
visualization. We've got a visualization on tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, good stuff. All right. Thanks very much, and thanks to folks on the live stream. And